People who had considered themselves incels, involuntary celibates, but have since had sex. How do you feel looking back at your previous self? I was raised by incredibly cruel people. My aunt and grandmother. They had me absolutely convinced that I was very ugly, pathetic, and just a total loser. They even hinted that I'd be better off gay, as if it's a choice because I didn't have a shot with women. They also made me feel that as an immigrant I was considered weird and strange, and women would consider me less of a catch because I was a foreigner. Since I believed all of that, I had a real resentment toward women, and like many young people I protected my pain with anger. Eventually I discovered that I was not ugly at all, and in fact was considered quite attractive by many, which I never fully could wrap my head around. And guess what? Turns out women like guys with exotic accents and viewed my foreignness as interesting and even exciting. I'm just glad I realized all of that before I had become too entrenched in my anger or wasted too much time. Oh God. High school me wore fedoras and believed my superior intellect and science-based social theories were too much for everyone, and that I was really a James Bond type with my knowledge of various fields. Turns out I was gay as but so deep in the closet my zip code was in Narnia. Not really that smart in anything but too ADHD to focus past basic knowledge of anything, and in a desperate need of a new wardrobe. I remember when I first found the incel community. It was actually a pretty helpful place. It was more of a support group for people who were unattractive, socially awkward, etc. There wasn't any of this nice guy, give sex bullshit. Everyone knew why they were involuntarily celibate, and just wanted to vent frustrations and get support. It was really good for my confidence. Then the toxic masculinity started to creep in and took right over. As everyone knows, I fell on the incel line of being not unattractive, but personality-wise, all I did was play video games. I didn't have anything interesting about my life, and so women just weren't interested in me, and I never put myself into situations to meet people. New job with great people. I started to do different things. Played hockey for the first time at 30. Joined the group for a couple of traveling tournaments where we got absolutely Vegas-type plastered for weekends in different cities. Job is very much a hangout and chat-type job, security. So talking with the women on the team on the regular starts removing the air of mystique I had built around them. Got my motorcycle license, and did a solo trip across the states from Canada to the Mexican border, and back that same year. Started doing Tough Mudders. Buying a season pass and traveling to any of the ones I could drive to. Then I got Tinder and just started going on dates. Had a few good, few bad, and then met my wife. All in all, I ultimately blame a World of Warcraft addiction that held me back in my early 20s to my late 20s and just missed out on those socially formative years. I was involuntarily celibate in that I wanted to have sexual relationships, but never met anyone interested. I didn't put any effort in, so it was kinda my fault. My lifestyle just didn't lend itself to meeting people, so it was hard. When I finally did get out there and start having relationships, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I realized that I had previously felt like an incomplete person because of my inability to connect with anyone, and that was holding me back from other things in life. Like I thought nothing else was worth pursuing because I hadn't properly entered adulthood yet. I kinda wish I'd just got on with it and pursued my other interests a bit more. I don't know why I had to wait. Maybe it was depression relating to me being lonely. I used to be the creepy-ass weirdo who, by the time I graduated, had asked every single girl out. I literally had no idea what I was doing wrong. I was practicing all the classic Southern gentleman things that I was supposed to, yet having no luck, think milady, but only slightly less cringy. It wasn't until I got to college and went on a period of self-discovery that I knew the error of my ways. The first, and most important, concept that I learned was that women aren't sex dispensaries that you deposit nice coins into and get puss in return. They have to choose you. I still kept doing nice things for girls because that's the way I was raised, but I removed my expectations for getting anything in return. The second concept was making myself attractive, and it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. A nice basic buzz cut suddenly turned my oily mop of hair into a clean, presentable style. Went clean shaven on facial hair too, because all I could grow was a piddly pubic hair look and ass beard. Got a benzoyl peroxide solution to start working on the acne. Marching band was my form of exercise to stay fit and avoid the freshman 15. It's amazing how the problems we create for ourselves can get in our own way. I did consider myself mostly an incel, maybe more of a nice guy, but to my core I believed that girls were only after the chads and douchebags. It was from the ages of 12 to 18, so a lot through my formative years. Here's the mindset. You've never had any awareness of the fact that girls don't indeed chase douchebags, because that's all you've ever looked for. Whenever you see a pretty girl who says she is in a relationship, you immediately assume that her boyfriend is a terrible person, though, not because he is, but because you yourself assume that you would just be so much better off with her than any other person. You won't see your own flaws, so you'll assume the worst of the guy. The truth is, it comes down to major insecurity issues and a lack of any male relationships. If you don't have many different male friends, you're going to assume that only the cocky guys get the girls. In reality, they are displaying charisma and confidence, something that is very attractive. Everyone knows this. It's a lack of awareness. It's easier to say that you yourself are too short, too ugly, too untalented, etc., than to admit that you have a crappy personality with little to no charisma. You won't find a happy, charming incel. If I could have gone back to myself and say, here's the deal. Girls don't look for one particular thing in a dude. They don't just want a tall dude, or a wide-jawed dude. They want someone to be comfortable around. They don't want you to praise them as some higher being. They want to be treated with respect. But most importantly, they don't exist to have sex with you. They don't even exist to be your friend. They don't owe you anything. No one does. Just because you like them, doesn't mean they have to like you. Don't try to sleep with girls by being their friend. Be grateful that someone sees any quality in your person for them to want to be around you at all. Be grateful that someone wants to be your friend. You are shallow and you only care about looks. You saying it's about personality is all bullshit. That's it. I was a young, angry kid. I'm glad I'm the man I am today. I've had a lot of confidence issues which went away as I grew older. I went through many edgy phases, and it took all of these mistakes to learn them. So I feel empathy for incels because they don't know any better. They don't know just how wrong they are, because admitting fault and self-improvement takes time and effort. Blaming and hating girls does not. Instead of hating girls, my only wish is that I started on self-improvement sooner. Finally my time to shine. Not sure if I should be proud of that. I found my first incel forum at 13, even though it didn't have that name, but the ideologies were the same. I was miserable back then, didn't have many friends. My grades were shit and I got bullied a lot. This made me spend most of my time inside playing video games and hating life. I hated everyone because all of my experiences with people were being bullied. I started being bullied at 4 and it didn't stop until the middle of high school. The forums were full of people thinking the same. It made me feel secure, like I was right. I didn't have to walk the hard way to improve myself. They told me I could just let go. Nobody will ever love you, so why try? You are a social reject, so why try? So I stopped showering, stopped eating, stopped caring for myself. I let myself go because these groups told me no matter how hard you try, you will fail. I became jealous of people being more popular than me. Jealous of my sister because she was so pretty and accepted herself. She had a boyfriend. But all girls hated me. At the time I didn't see that. Would I have just showered, girls wouldn't have been disgusted by me. I hated immigrants, gay people, women, handsome guys. Everyone I saw as more accomplished than me. It was a hard time getting out of this mindset, but eventually I made it. Turned my grades around, made some friends and went to therapy. I even have a boyfriend now. Oh, the irony. When I see incels or people like that, I just can't hate them. They are in pain and struggling and need help. Depression is one hell of beast and some people lash out in anger. So when I look back at my old self, I really just want to give him a hug and tell him everything is going to be okay. I even have a boyfriend now. That's certainly an ironic shift, lol. I was a being of pure hatred. I always thought it was someone else's fault. Even though I have had sex since that time, I think it's important to know that having sex isn't what vindicates you. Inceldom is a state of mind which requires strength and sometimes outside guidance to overcome. One of my friends essentially gave me a proverbial slap to the face on the subject and told me exactly what to do and how to become a more better person. In conclusion, I look back with regret and sorrow for all the people I hurt and made uncomfortable, because I know there are many. I suppose I was an incel from 23 to 27 after leaving the military. I was depressed, underweight, socially isolated. I never got fat or super into gaming as is stereotypical. Just worked a lot, hung out with my dog, smoked way too much weed, and just sort of forgot how to interact with women, which was probably for the best. Most of my relationships prior to 23 were unhealthy at worst, meaningless at best. Ending that era of my life was a long struggle that took concerted effort towards trying to be more positive and social. One big event was buying and learning to ride a motorcycle at 27 sort of shocked me out of my routine. Opened my eyes to the fact that life was not a downhill slide from the adrenaline-filled days of 18 to 22. That new experiences were waiting to be had. Eventually I met a woman that I just couldn't bear to have the usual flirt until I awkwardly distanced myself experience with. I forced myself to not to my mind wander when we talked. I powered through all anxiety to call and text her daily. I even eventually would do crazy stuff like get dressed up nice and go to dinner with her, not something I could have ever seen myself doing at one point. So I'm married now, still have some issues, but very happy. So I'd say nothing to me, just gotta live through it, kid.